Hey, Warren Eckstein answering some more questions. This one comes from my friend Angela Burney. Hey, Warren. I love when they start off. Hey, Warren. How do I stop my Border Collie from overreacting to passing loud motorcycles and cars when I'm walking him? And when traveling in the back of my SUV, she jumps at cars passing us on the freeway. A couple of things you need to understand. Number one, right off the bat, is Border Collies are incredibly bright dogs. Having worked with hundreds of them, they're aware of everything around them. So it's important to make sure you get them assimilated in terms of what they're going to hear on a regular basis. For example, whether it be motorcycles, whether it be cars, you want to try to desensitize them to that noise. You can download the sound of a motorcycle. You can download the side of a car. That's fine. That's great. Play it at a low volume. Increase it gradually to desensitize the dog to the different sounds. So that's number one right off the bat. Number two is that very often, and I don't know the background of the dog, but sometimes dogs will react that way when they see a car, if they've been abandoned or taken from a shelter once or twice. So those things can be taken into consideration as well. So here's some of the things I want you to do. Number one is if you can have some friends drive by your house and you can actually practice the basic training with your dog as the car comes up to the house. Now, the people already know the dog, so that's 1 point for you. But I would really practice maybe with a stop car, then have your friend kind of drive by, slowly get out of the car, give the dog a lot of hugs and kisses. So the dog now is going to associate the sound of the car pulling up to him with something very, very positive, okay? Dogs don't understand the concept. I always joke about this, but why do dogs chase cars? Because they always win. The car always runs away. But if the car stops, there's no longer need to chase them. So if you're consistent with that, it's something I deal with constantly. If you're consistent with that and you work with the dog on its basic training, when cars are going by, start out obviously with no cars, introduce the cars gradually, a little bit at a time, and you'll start noticing a difference in the dog's behavior. Do the same thing with motorcycles. You may not have a friend with a motorcycle, but at least you can desensitize the dog to the sound. But by solidifying the basic training, you have a positive way. Now let's go, for example. You're walking your dog, a car goes by, a motorcycle goes by, and you're, no, stop it. You're getting the dog even more excited. That's why basic training is critical. I don't care my dog sits the first time I tell him, but the importance of educating the dog with those basic commands, it gives you a positive way. It's kind of like the alphabet, a positive way to communicate with the dog. So from what you're telling me that your dog is chasing motorcycles or overreacting to the loud noise of cars, desensitize them with the sounds, gradual to the exposure, always ending, every time ending on a positive note. Now, in terms of the jumping back and forth on the freeway in the SUV, one of the things, first of all, a dog should be, if they're in a car, I recommend the seatbelt right off the bat. I think that's a great idea. It's safer. You know, if God forbid you have an accident or jam on your brakes, the dog's like a projectile and really hurt not only him, but hurt you as well. One of the things I recommend doing is spending more time with the dog in the car, not necessarily driving. Just kind of sit in the car, listen to the radio. I got a show to recommend, the pet show. Make it a fun, positive experience. Then what I would do is when you're taking the dog around in the car, go slowly, go a few blocks, then stop, get out of the car, a few more blocks, stop, get out of the car. Then one of the things I would recommend that you do is, again, using your basic training to control the dog. If the dog is jumping back and forth and you're in the car and you're driving and you yell, no, stop it, knock it off, wait till daddy comes home, what you're doing is, again, encouraging the dog and getting the dog more excited. So the way to approach it is, again, with basic training. Always go back to your positives. Work with the dog in the car, using a sit-stay in the car, a down-stay in the car. Also, you might want to find one object that the dog only gets when he gets in the car to get his attention, all of it. Now, that's not the only way to resolve this issue, but that gives you a start. Focus on that. If you need further information, you can always call me on the show. But the bottom line right now is just to make sure you desensitize, build up the dog's confidence. Now remember, it's a Border Collie. Border Collies are herding dogs. Their instinct is to go after something that's moving and bring it back. Or maybe you bring it back a Mercedes, who knows? But all joking aside, it could be dangerous. I want you to follow through on the advice I gave you. Really solidify your basic training. And remember, you have a Border Collie. I'm surprised he didn't write the note to me himself. They're incredibly bright dogs. Go beyond basic training with them. Really, go beyond. Go into utility training. Go into any type of training you want, nose work, whatever you want. This is a dog that needs a job. It needs mental stimulation. And the more stimulation, the more you work on keeping him occupied and not letting him get bored, you'll start noticing a lot of these behavioral issues will start to dissipate. If you have a question, call me on the show. Don't forget to listen to the Pet Show every week. I'm Warren Eckstein. This is